and you can quote this on me. There is no way the Orioles or Red Sox make the playoffs this season. Yeah, yeah. There's no way. There's no way.
I set the bar really low at the NBA predictions.
I don't think all Mavs fans look into the stats like I do.
It's not the great value Target brand toilet paper or whatever. It's the Charmin Ultra Strong.
I don't know if Nick Nurse is the coach for the Raptors. I don't know if he's the reason why they won the 2019 championship. I feel like that was more of a team effort.
The Mavs cannot say we do not miss Seth Curry shooting threes.
This questions the firing of Dwayne Casey, who I think is a very underrated coach.
To me, the Capitals really pushed all their chips for this season.
Hello, I'm Mike Grimes, and you've been listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our MLB Opinions of the Week. I'm Kevin. I'm joined by the man that has not deferred his salary, even though it is we are no salary yet for the podcast, but that, of course, is Austin.
Yeah, and the team that continues to do that is the Dodgers. We've yet to talk about the Blake Snell deal, but that's something that they have done in the Blake Snell deal is defer contracts. And really the question of this video, is this just going to be a Dodgers thing? Is this going to be a thing amongst the teams like the Mets, Yankees, Red Sox, Giants, the teams that are going to be paying a lot, Padres maybe? Or is this going to be a thing that every team starts to do, is start deferring payments so they don't have to pay everything right now, but can hopefully build a winning roster and then with the funds of that, pay off these players towards the end of their contracts?
Yeah, and this is something the Dodgers, I do have a question for you, but to give, even after the Tommy Edman extension, the Dodgers are deferring almost $1 billion. They owe $989 million in deferred money on their current contracts, according to Sporting News. This is not just like deferring a little bit. Like, I guess Ohtani was a lot, but it wasn't with one player. This is almost $1 billion. This is, if you look at current payroll, the current, if you just do the deferred money, that's gonna be one of the top 10 payrolls, or no? Okay, so the total payroll with the Mets is $314 million. It looks like. I may be reading this wrong. So that's still an incredible amount, which I guess I would like to know the annual number, but this is something that I am curious to see how teams do this, because I'm wondering if the league does something to this. If it goes no more deferred money.
This is not the only sport that does defer payments. I know that like the NFL does that. The Chiefs are doing that a lot. I remember the Bucks did it with Tom Brady's contract. But I am wondering whether or not more teams jump on this train, because it's the precedent has definitely been set by the Dodgers. Do you think we'll see more teams doing this, or is this just because of the Ohtani deal and some of the other larger contracts?
I do think the Dodgers kind of the trendsetter of we're going to use deferred money. If I'm a team, I think you have to wonder about why not use deferred money. My question to you is deferred money what Bobby Bonilla, what's the...
No, because that's when a player gets released. So he was released, and they deferred the release payment. Every team has done that before in every sport. I still remember when that happened to Blake Griffin after he was released from the Pistons. So after teams release a player, they can defer the payments. So that's different. These are players that are signed to a contract, not released, and they're just, the money is deferred out after their contract ends. It's signed into the deal. With the Bobby Bonilla, he was signed to the team, didn't really work out. No one wanted to trade for him, so they released him, and they had a deferred releasement. Was really how it worked.
Okay, that was something. But so back on to if I'm a team, this is a tool for building a better team. Why not use it if it's in the league rules? I wouldn't use it to the extent the Dodgers, because it's gonna hurt them. And to me, this almost it's another way to be a win now team of just like, we're going to sign all these players and we're going to defer the money. So if the Dodgers win 1 or 2 World Series, then you're going to be like, okay, that was worth it, which I don't think you can say you almost have to go on a dynasty run if you're the Dodgers right now. You got to get 3 or 4.
I don't know about that. It's hard to ask that much from a team. I definitely think it's multiple. I'll give you that.
But you're deferring almost $1 billion. It could be $1 billion.
It is the Dodgers, though.
Yeah. Okay. I see your point. But to me, from a team, let's say the Guardians, why not go sign someone and defer part of that contract if you got cheap owners?
Because they're cheap and they don't want to pay it ever. That's really the thing, is you're going to have to pay the contract no matter what. It's just, are you willing to pay it a long time from now? Because you're still going to have to be paying, the Dodgers are still going to have to pay players during that time that are filling their 26-man roster. So they're going to have to pay them plus $68 million to Ohtani, plus whatever they're going to give Blake Snell, plus if they do this to any other players. So the cheap owners are still going to have to pay that money. It's just you have to win a championship to make it worth it if you're going to defer a lot of capital.
Okay. It seems so. Do you see this becoming a trend, or?
I think it'll become a trend amongst the top like 5, 6, 7, 8 spenders. I think the Phillies is really like the bottom of it. So Phillies, Mets, Dodgers, Giants, Padres, Yankees, Red Sox. Maybe there's a couple other names spread in there, but I don't think this becomes a trend amongst the Athletics or amongst any team at the bottom. Mariners. Against teams that don't spend all that much, I do not believe it really becomes a trend.
Okay. So, so do you see this more as like the luxury tax in the MLB?
No, because the luxury tax is something that you can't avoid.
Okay.
Right. So this, you can choose whether or not you want to pay it now or pay it later. And the luxury tax is a percentage increase. You're not increasing the amount of money you're spending to a player. It's just you're increasing the amount of time you're taking to spend it.
Okay.
Actually, it's an inverse of a tax. Because you got to think, in 10 years, the $68 million is worth less than it is right now. So it's an inverse. You're spending actually less money per value than if you were to pay it right now.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think every team uses it, but I am intrigued with those small market teams. Like, I'm not saying the Guardians go get Juan Soto, but I'm wondering, let's say they want like, it wouldn't be a top tier, it'd be a middle tier, and they're like, okay, we'll sign you to this contract, and then they defer part of that to where it's almost like a lower level.
I don't think it becomes popular with those teams because you're gonna have, because it's a mid-tier player, per your example, and let's say they sign a 5-year contract. Well, that 6th year, you're gonna have to pay them whatever you deferred, and then have to pay 26 other players to fill your roster. So it's like having 27 guys on your roster. And I don't think a cheap owner wants to pay that.
So my question to you, not in that example, can they do, like, let's say I go 5-year contract? Because I thought Ohtani's technically a 20-year contract. Or is it just an 11-year contract?
It's a 10-year contract, just he's getting paid for 20. He's not employed by the team. He's not he's a free agent, right? A 20-year contract would mean that he can't go to any other team. The Dodgers are contractually paying him for 20 years, but he's not a Dodger for 20 years.
Yeah. You can set the amount.
Well,
That is what I'm talking about.
You
can set the amount for deferred money. Let's say I go 5 years and I'm like, I want to pay him over 15.
No, because the player has to agree to that, right? So if you're like, let's say I'm paying you $15 million a year, okay, over it per year, and it's for 5 years, right? So that's $75 million. Quick math. And I just say, well, I want to pay you $75 million for 5 years, but I'm going to pay you $5 million a year right now, so that knocks off 25. So now it's just 50, and I want to pay you $1 million for 50 years. You're never going to agree to that.
Okay.
You're never going to agree to me paying you $1 million a year for 50 years, because in 50 years, that $1 million is less than half the value, probably because of inflation and because of other factors, right? So you want more money right this second. The thing with Ohtani is he knows he's making so much money, and that winning titles and building a better roster will make him more money over the long span than getting the $70 million this season. And I think that's why teams are doing it for really good teams and won't do it for teams that are worse, because you're not going to get the incentive of winning titles, getting endorsements, and all that other stuff. That's why I don't think a mid-tier player would do it. Brady can do it. Mahomes can do it. Kelsey can do it. A mid-tier player can't afford to do it. Because in 10 years, when that's done, if you do it just like the Ohtani deal, it is significantly less money. And so it's just not financially smart for the player. For the team, of course it is. Because again, that you're spending less money than, unless you are doing like Ohtani and it's a lot of money. And then that year, they're going to have to pay $68 million to Ohtani plus the 26 players they're already paying.
Okay, yeah, you bring up a great point with a mid-tier player and how that does affect them. I didn't really think of that. And yeah, so I do think this is a tool that will be used by teams and definitely by the richer teams. I'm wondering if other teams use it as it currently stands. I'm wondering if the league says anything. I'm not saying the league should say any. I think there can be boundaries created. Well, I guess there's no salary cap, so it's something I'm interested to see how it goes, but the Dodgers are definitely at the forefront of pushing of what they can do. And I'm wondering what I do think other teams will do it. I'm just curious, how is it used by other teams?
Yeah, that's a fair question. I just don't think it's going to be used by any teams outside, maybe I'll say the top 10 for sure. Outside the top 10 biggest payers, I don't really see it being utilized much.
Okay. I agree with that. And I will go a step further and say another team outside of that top 10 kind of experiments with it. I do think a team goes, what if we did it this way? And tries to use it. So that's my prediction. I'll let you close this one out.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Please let us know what you guys think about this horrible deal. Do you think a lot of teams are going to start deferring big salaries, or is it just going to be those top teams, or is it just going to be the Dodgers? Thank you. Thank you again.